it's like a big old game, you know.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
I'm here for it though. You know.
Greg, you ready? Okay. Man, we got a legend on here, man. Mr. Holla, Mr. Inkster, Mr. John Glenn, Mr. Everything, man. I'm truly honored to have this brother on, Jewell Jones. What's going on, bro?
Hey, nothing much, family. Happy to be here as well. Happy to be here.
First thing I want to say is, man, we appreciate you, man. I don't know if you know, but man, you a legend, man. I know sometimes we live in a moment, but one thing I want to tell you is, man, you a legend, man. Keep being for the people, man. Don't ever change who you are.
Yes, sir. That's love for sure. I appreciate you.
Hey, to be so young and so woke, I mean, it's amazing what you're doing. And I'm forever grateful for people like you. I'm proud, man. I'm proud that you're one of ours. Michigan, Ohio. You know what I'm
Oh
saying?
yeah. Shout out to my dad for making sure I went there too, and my mom.
Absolutely. Man, so no other way to get around it, man. Today's a sad day in the history of this country. What were your thoughts when you heard when this was all going down today?
I personally, I was actually, I love what's going on. I love this increased level of activism, especially because, I mean, for so long, Black people have been suffering. I mean, we've constantly been oppressed by this system, by the community, by the world, by society, and we've taken so much for so long. Um, and to see people really who can't stand the outcome of election, something that was carried out just like any other election that's taken place in the history of the United States, to see their reaction to it, I think it helps really show us how other people are not like us. As Black people, we see these, a lot of these white terrorists or white protesters, white radicals, who has literally stormed the Capitol. Someone was shot in the chest in the field. They've broken the windows. The people have been mason sprayed, stuff like that. Not only that, it was Black folks. I don't think any of this would have happened. I've got some of the Black Lives Matter protests that happened. National Guard was called to the stairs, didn't even allow them to approach the building. I think it just rings or speaks volumes to um, the problems that we have here in America and how long they've been present. You know.
Well, I don't know if you know, but she has died. The lady shot in
Yeah.
the
Oh,
chest
I didn't even know.
passed. Yes.
Well, I think it's a mixture of both. Of course, policy, having something in writing in ink, um, that can become precedent for the community and for our government. I think that definitely helps out. But of course, we have many laws on the books. We have many laws and many policies and regulations that are simply not enforced by on one side of things. And so I think, of course, policy will help, but it really depends on how we're putting that policy forth. And
Yeah, I think it might be beneficial if we do this when we get home because you know how the
yeah,
city is and how. Yeah, for
will
sure.
actually will actually work towards our benefit. Uh, oh, oh, are we good? Yeah, it's just I'm just thinking that policy will help for sure, but because we have so much of policy that hasn't been enforced for a long time, it really depends on how the policy is written. We can't write it towards minorities, we can't write it towards communities of color. We have to make sure that it's something written that's going to directly impact us. Now, aside from that, I think the other side of things, seeing this activism, seeing actual grassroots organizations and movements is going to be important as well, because everything needs some pressure sometimes to be applied to it, because we realize that we're not in a majority from a political perspective, and so we're going to need some kind of pressure, some kind of partners and other forces that will help us accomplish those different missions we want to see happen.
My first question for you is, let me ask you this: as you've seen everything that's been going on today, do you think if the shoe was on the other foot and it was a Black Lives Matters thing, do you think it would have been handled the same way?
Oh, without a doubt. I mean, we look at the protests that's always happened before, um, near the Capitol. I've even been at the Capitol before, and I've seen videos of people at the Capitol board dressed up nice, who might not be necessarily there for business, who might just want to be taking pictures or just walking up or just doing whatever, uh, saying some kind of message. Capitol Police come out quick, you know, and so for this to even happen, I'm so surprised that they even allow people to get through. I realized people. One person got shot, but I think it came from someone who was actually a part of the protest. And then additionally, I think that the folks who's getting maced and stuff like that, and who've been detained and whatnot, that's a really light tap on the wrist, compared to what would have happened had they been black. I'm quite sure that people would have been shot and killed. Um, the National Guard probably would have been called out again. Some local police force, probably a mixture of everybody who could come out, probably would have been out there, and we probably would have seen more improved barricades, SWAT teams, all kind of stuff, snipers. And so I think I mean, that's an excellent question. Of course, we would not even get that close if it was us. So we're not able to speak intelligently about what would happen, but just from previous experiences, knowing how things go, um, things definitely would have been different.
Okay, as a politician, what is your take on a leader that comes out and says his first things out of his mouth is it was a rigged election, we were robbed, and to march on Washington? And I I don't want to down or put down any Democrats or Republicans because the whole process we need both, you
Right.
know. But to come out to why support a guy like this, regardless, there's why stand behind somebody who clearly loves himself. He's a narcissist.
Yeah.
He loves himself more than he does the people that are following him. What does that
Right.
say?
Well, I mean, it's a lot of folks out there. It's like that. On one side of things, I commend him for being, um, for basically doing what he said he's going to do, for always making sure that he stays, sticks to the team. But on the other hand, because it puts so many people in a bad position, it's very concerning to see people who have a platform, who misuse it the wrong way, especially when things are so tense. When by just saying a simple message like that, you can cause lives to be lost in the balance. I think that leaders have to realize the gravity of the words they use and the gravity of the audiences that they can inspire. Um, but like I said, I've got to appreciate him because he's making sure he sticks to the base. For me, for example, I'm from Inkster, so if I was ever in a predicament to make sure that I wanted them to go ahead and do something they needed to do, I definitely would call them and tell them like, "Yo, this is what you need to do. Go ahead and do this." But of course, I don't see us ever being in a position where we're going to do something that's going to be risking the lives or the freedom of others. And so, as a leader, especially on such a platform, I think it's just so important to realize that very fact, so we don't get carried away and caught up in a bunch of nonsense.
Well, I guess my next question for you as well too, especially being a man of the community and being an African American, but then also being with the police force. How do you balance and how do you feel about where it's Black Lives Matters and then I know they started with the Blue Lives Matters. How do you feel about that? Because you're part of both.
Right. No, I definitely was born black first and foremost. So I'm always gonna be with my folks. At the same time, I personally don't. I really don't even like police that much. To be honest, to be quite frank with y'all, because I've had my own. I'm a young black male. I had my personal run-ins with officers before I was a part of the police department. During my time as an officer, and so I think that, um, if I had to pick a side. I most likely I don't typically pick sides, but if I had to pick a side, I definitely think I definitely closely align with the Black Lives Matter movement, and that's who I would look to support. But being in that community, I realized that all police officers are not bad. that we have some good ones. The same way that all black people are not good, right? All white people are not good. And so it's going to be bad people wherever you go. The thing is figuring out how can we work together to get things done. And so my biggest thing, whenever dealing with either of the communities, is trying to figure out where's the sweet spot where we can figure out a balance so everyone can win. You know.
Well, being a former police officer myself, I know that it was big for me, but I wanted younger kids to see someone who looked like them in a positive light wearing a uniform, as opposed to, before they got to prison, it was too late to help them because they're in there, So that was kind of big for me to want to be a police officer. But to tell you the truth, it got to the point where I myself I had trouble going to work every day because
Yeah,
I'm seeing what's going on, and I'm just like, wow, there's got to be something else I can do, you know.
facts, facts. But you done did it all, coach, law enforcement, everything, huh?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And I see you got the hat on. Happy recently cap anniversary. I know y'all had one.
Yes, sir. Founders Day, January 5th. Appreciate it. Uh, yeah, but I mean, it's just it's a sad day, and I mean, do you think Biden can bring us? How he can only take us so far, but is there too much damage that has been done?
I agree.
There's been too much damage that's been done.
You said what?
It's been too much damage that has been done.
Has too much damage been done?
Yeah, for Biden to come in and try to fix it.
Well, I don't think so. I don't think so. I think that it definitely makes the job a little bit more difficult. I'm gonna have to be very innovative about how we do things. But with the team that Biden can utilize and the folks that I know who are already a part of their administration, I think that we'll be in good shape. The biggest thing though, as always, is realizing it's not really so much about what the government can do for us. It's really about how do we build community amongst ourselves. I always refer back to the movements like the Black Panthers when they started the free breakfast program, or the self-defense when they were originally called Black Panthers Party for Self-Defense. We had to look at different things like that. How do we really build a community amongst ourselves to the degree where we don't have to rely on anyone else to come and educate our children, come and provide businesses for the community, come and clean our streets, police our neighborhoods, because all that stuff we can do ourselves. And so, sure, there's been a lot of damage done, but if we can work in a concerted effort as people to improve our conditions, the government definitely will be able to come through and put on those finishing touches for sure.
Okay, well, I'm so glad that you said. I'm sorry, Skip, but I'm so glad that you said that because I got a two-part question that is just burning me up. For one, they need to do you feel like they need to do a better job of teaching history so that it's Black history, not only Black history, but the true Black history is told, so the stories like Black Wall Street are known, because at one time we were self-sufficient, and
Oh
it
yeah.
was the government that bombed us and burnt down that community, Black Wall Street.
Oh yeah, I think without a doubt that's so critical because I mean we're essentially as Black people we're essentially growing up learning this whitewashed or Eurocentric history where we really don't even know where we came from. We're taking history back to slavery times. We're not talking about the kings of Kush and all these other things that are present in our history that really show that we're a royal people, that we come from we're peculiar people. We come from royal priesthoods, and we're coming from different levels of supremacy and whatnot. We're coming into academia basically feeling like we're inferior to other people that are in the community with us. So I think without a doubt we need to learn our history, and that would definitely help improve the conditions inside our neighborhoods. I think because we will realize that we don't want to keep being complacent with these conditions that we're living in. That we actually need to get out and improve.
So I guess my next question, kind of to touch on, is this whole pandemic.
Sure.
And I know you've been in and out of meetings and things of that nature. Do you think we opened up too soon? Do you think we should have shut down more? What's your approach on the state of emergency we in now?
You know what? To tell you the truth, from my official perspective, I would just say, quite frankly, that I think we should have just did our best to heed to the recommendations that other people had put forth to us, saying that we needed to go ahead and quarantine. We could all stay inside and prevented a lot of the spread. But at the same time, um, I'm not really sure how it spreads. You know, I'm not an expert on COVID and how it's passed along and whatnot. And I know for sure, as you know, being an auxiliary officer and working with my church to make sure that we get the virtual services out, being the state rep, making sure that we keep people fed and get them the resources that they need. I've been present. I've been out in front of all kinds of people in all kind of areas, and you know, I've been blessed not to have the COVID at all. I've been tested multiple times, haven't had it, and so all I know is I grew up learning, you know, when you come inside the house, wash your hands. Make sure you don't have people all up in your face. Don't be touching on everything. And I kind of just stuck to those norms that I grew up learning, and I've been okay. So I'm really not sure for sure, but I know a lot of businesses are hurt. I know a lot of people have been impacted adversely by this. So you know, it's not a position that I have that I would be able to, you know, make the rules for that. So really, um, I'm not really sure that I would say to that one.
Okay, to piggyback off that question, I guess, explain your relationship with the governor, man, because it seemed like that's your home girl, that's your girl. Explain that relationship, and it seemed like it's genuine. It ain't like you
Oh
know how
yeah,
it ain't forced.
yeah. No, Gretchen, that's the homie for sure. Um, you know, like of course she's the governor and whatnot, but we've got a good personal relationship. I talk to her whenever I want to talk to her, really. But whenever I see her, really, I talk to her. I'll be blowing up all the time, and that's I know she's extremely busy. But when we're together, we have a good time. She know a lot of my people. I know a lot of her folks. We have a good working relationship as well. I have bucked bucked up with her a few times on a few issues and whatnot, but I don't think that will ever get in the way of our personal relationship. And so you know, that's my girl. I'm so glad she's the governor. She probably one of the coolest governors we done had, for real. You know, she's somebody that you would want to hang out with, spend some time with, and somebody that you would want to handle some business with. So, you know, Big Gretch that's the homies for sure.
Okay.
How did you feel when she put the Cartier glasses on?
Man, that was a whole that was a whole little what's up, cuz that was a whole little movement right there. After G Mac dropped that song, and then I think Armand passed the bus to her in that press conference. He a noob too, I'm sure. Brother Turner probably know him. But Armand passed to the bus that one day, and she put him on. I was like, okay, cooking with grease, nah. So, shoot.
I guess my next question would be how important is voting? I'm not just talking about the presidential election. Like when you was coming up for reelection. I mean, of course, you always been in the community, but it seemed like you were on what's the word I'm looking for? You were trying to get the vote. So explain how important voting is on a local level.
Oh, I mean, Vulcans are extremely important, especially on the local level, because definitely those are the people that you know your mayor, your council people. Can you all hear me again? I had a call coming in.
I can hear you.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So you know you got your mayor and council persons and things of that nature who directly affects you. You know they hire your police chiefs. They hire um, the city clerks. They hire the treasurers. They hire all kinds of folks that deliver services to you on the local level. And so they're really your first touch whenever the time comes for any decision that impacts you. And so I always say, especially local politics is critical. But I mean, voting really is your chance. You can't complain if you don't vote. So that's your chance really to get involved in the process and be able to have a voice. You know, so it's extremely critical, and we need to do a better job also of uh, getting our young people familiar with the system before they get of age to vote as well.
That makes a lot.
Right.
I don't know if this is
Right. Well, I think that, like I said, I think the policy is super, super critical. But at the end of the day, we have to keep realizing that if it's not enforced, or if we don't have the power to update the policy. Because I mean, anytime we can have plenty of rules and regulations that benefit us, but if we don't have anyone um, in those positions to help guide us through those processes, we might be missing out. I mean, it's a lot of resources out there right now for our people. But it's because the system is so ambiguous, and it's set up in different kind of ways and different fashions for people to be able to navigate it, who don't necessarily look like us, who might not necessarily be from our community. We're just ignorant to the resources that are present to us. And so, I think definitely the policy needs to be there, but we have to have people there, both in offices, folks that are activists in the streets, folks that are present in the business community, those present in the faith community. We had to have a full-on assault, um, and that's going to be the only way that I think really that we're going to be able to accomplish anything, whether or not we have policy. As long as you have people in all different positions where we can work, in this concerted effort, I think that's when we really see results.
But now how do we?
Yeah, correct.
And how do we make sure that the policies and the procedures are applied equally across the board? You know, not just for those in the higher income neighborhoods, as opposed to the lower income neighborhoods and the people of color and the people. How do we make sure those policies are applied evenly across the board?
Well, I think it really just takes having people there, because I mean, if you look at the way the Republican administration have done things, even here in the state of Michigan, quite frankly, um, they were in power, so they did whatever they wanted to do, no matter who it benefited or who it taken care of, or if it's going to be public and people are going to be able to talk about them. People are going to do what they want to do when they had when they had a juice. And so it's important for us to have people in positions who um, can go ahead and be a voice for us when we can't be a voice for ourselves. I think that's the biggest thing. Now, that doesn't always mean elected office, but it just means that we have to have people with enough steam who can come in and make sure that we don't get steamrolled when decisions are being made.
So I guess that will help on my next question. What are some of the bills or reforms that you and your campaign are working on?
Well, recently, I think the biggest thing is I've kind of started to stray away from policy and stuff like that, because right now I'm in my last 2 years. I'm really looking, succession planning is big for me, sustainability is big for me. So I've really been looking to figure out who we're going to have come in these different positions in the next 2 years after myself and some of my colleagues are out of office. Um, but at the same time, I've been working on a lot of criminal justice reform things. We've got a lot of good brothers and sisters who are incarcerated, who have some wonderful skills and talents, who've been doing wonderful things inside the joint, who, if we can get them out, I feel like they would definitely pour into the community, especially the communities they're from, communities like Flint and Inkster and Detroit, Ypsilanti, Benton Harbor, Saginaw. And I've also been working on a lot on expungements, because that's going to give some of our folks who might have caught a case when they were much younger, 10, 20, 30, 40 years ago, to get they're right back to life in terms of ownership and employment, even education, if they want to go back to school, if they need some loans. So those probably been the major pieces I've been working on, if any, in regards to legislation. But my biggest thing right now is just figuring out who we're going to get to pick up the torch after I'm up out of there, and then what resources can I get to directly empower the folks that I work for right now, so when I'm gone in 2 years, they still have that vehicle for support themselves.
I see that that's big, something that you have been doing, expungements, especially for marijuana cases. For
Yeah.
now that marijuana has turned more towards legal as opposed to
Right.
being not legal, that you were trying to get expungements for that. Um, how exactly is that going to look for those who were arrested before? How easy is the process going to be for those to get their record clear? You know,
Oh, yeah. The process is, I mean, is easy, quite frankly, for certain folks. So now we've streamlined the way that expungements work. So you can go, I guess we can talk about the marijuana expungements. You can go and apply for it with a simple paperwork, and prosecutor has 60 days to challenge you. If they don't challenge you, you're basically automatically expunged. For some of the other things we did for expungement, um, is allow. We've opened up the amount of felonies and misdemeanors you could have that you can get expunged. We say if you got them all from the same charge, we can group them together. So we really just widened the scope for expungements to make it easier. And we want to get to a place where it becomes automatic. So after a certain amount of time, it just drops off, because we don't want people to have to continue to go through the process after all this time, you know, just to get it fixed. We want to go ahead and say, okay, they've hit their time, and then the system has some kind of algorithm where it just does it for them. They can get something in the mail, let them know like, hey, you're good, and then you be good to go. Because so many people are being held back right now because of things on their record.
So I guess my follow-up question, you're a man of many things. State rep, you in the community, Army, right?
Yeah, National
In
Guard
Army,
right now.
you kissing babies, you talking to everybody. What inspires you?
Man, quite honestly, man, it's being able to help out. I've never really needed any additional inspiration and being able to help folks out. Seeing a smile on somebody. Even today, I got a call from one of my folks early today. Said their furnace went out, so they just needed some people to call. And then in the meantime, I just took a space heater over there real quick and helped them out. And it's just like little easy stuff that we can do. It's like that kind of stuff. I love doing that. I love being on call for people, especially when I know where I can get resources from, or I know how to produce different things, and then you can give it to folks. I think it's a beautiful feeling for me, and so I wake up every day just ready to see, like what can I do today? How can we improve the community today? Who can we help out today? Who can we support today? And so that's what keeps me going. I'm kind of hungry to do that kind of stuff.
So how was serving on city council in Inkster? How was that? I mean, step by step, day by day, how was that being, especially you being young? Because I'm pretty sure everybody else was way older than you.
Yeah. I was the youngest one for sure by I think, because I was 20. I was 20 when I got on city council, and then the next oldest person I think was like in their mid 40s or early 50s, and it was cool. It was my first time really being on call for real. But it was my chance to really make laws, to give back. It was very busy. It was a lot of reading. I was in college at the time. And so I was putting down textbooks and picking up, budgets and ordinances and stuff. The ordinance book was like this thick, so I'm trying to learn the whole process. And I was only on city council for a year as well before I made the jump to the legislature. But it was a really wonderful experience. I was on social media at the time, getting more involved in that, and Facebook was like the place to be for all my constituents. So it didn't catch me on the phone. I was getting messages and stuff about things I could do, or they're commenting on the post. So it was really just a beautiful time um, to really learn people and learn different personalities of folk, men and women. And the whole city council and the mayor was Black. We had a white city manager, but I mean, most administration was Black. So it was like a time where I was really working like directly with my own folks and just learning so many different personalities. And so it was such an interesting time. And I think it really helped prepare me for this role that I've been in now for about 4 years.
Do you understand?
Oh no, oh no, it was not my dream job. I wanted to be a spy back in the day. So I can't tell y'all about that because I know what they say. But you know, that's what I wanted to do when I first started off. So I can't say too much about that, man. I love y'all, man. I can't do y'all like that. So I'm gonna keep that one on the hush. But I did
You,
want to be back in the day.
you
I'll
know
leave it
what my job was in the military?
there. You said what?
You know what my job was in the military?
What was it?
Human interrogation.
Oh yeah.
So one way or another, I get it out.
Hey, I don't mind, brother. We've been down that road before.
Just to let you guys know, breaking news that the police are they're trying to retake the building again. So the riot police are out there because they're trying to go ahead and finish the certification. So the Trump supporters have come back out and they're trying to retake the building.
Man, hey, I love to see it. They don't play no games.
Jewell, my next question for you: do you really understand the history you made by being one of the youngest state reps? Like, especially for Michigan, do you ever sit back and just be at home like, dang, I made history? Or is that something you're gonna do when you get older and be at home? Like, to me, I don't think you understand how important in the history you made. But
Right.
let me hear it come from you.
Yeah, I'm really not sure. I don't think I get it either. But I know people definitely remind me of like what we did all the time, and I can definitely see the impact that it's made when I talk to other people. But I still haven't really woke up just like knowing like what we did for real, just yet. And so I know that we accomplished some great things because I hear it from other people and I see it and I look at, the amount of people we impacted, and I see, the places we've been and what we've done there. But from the way I grew up, it's all kind of just like, this is what we supposed to do. I'm just doing my part. So it's not really like um, it's been an accomplishment. It's really been like, hey man, I'm doing what I was born to do. I'm doing what I was taught to do. But I definitely think when I get a little older, I'm probably gonna sit back and it's probably just gonna hit me. Maybe if I get out of it or something like that, or whenever I retire, or I'm not sure, but one day.
So how far are you planning on going?
That's an excellent question too. I'm not sure for real. I know we're still young. We have a lot of opportunities, still a lot of things that we're not able or old enough to run for just yet. Um, and some days I think about getting out because I feel like it's a lot that I can do if I was not in office. But at the same time, I think that if we can, the team is beginning to really come together beautifully. And I think if we can continue to hold on this and get everybody in different positions that they're in, we can all move in a similar fashion in our own different avenues. I believe it'll be a beautiful thing. So I'm kind of just waiting to see how everything play out. And I'm just gonna keep doing my job as long as I'm supposed to be doing it. But when I find out, if I ever hear something or think about something, I'll let y'all know for sure.
Well, that really sounded like a political answer right there, huh? So, I'm thinking I'm going to get what's next. Whether hey, I'm gonna do this that. We got good people around us. Okay.
So my next question for you: what advice can you give to young kids or adults who looking to get into politics? What's some advice that's following your footsteps? What kind of advice can you give them?
I would just tell them don't wait. Don't wait for opportunity created. That's something that my boy David Woods talks about all the time over at Enjoy Detroit. Um, I would just say, don't wait till you get all your ducks in a row. Don't wait till you get done with college or get done with school or till you get certified for something. It's something that you can do every day towards whatever goal you want to accomplish, towards whatever target you want to hit. And so just don't wait, especially if you're young. When you still got all that energy and all that passion and people want to support you, you need to utilize that. You need to get out there and start doing it. The earlier you get started, the better off you'll be for sure. Um, and the more you be able to accomplish, and the more you will learn quicker about, how things really work. And I think that's probably one of the most beautiful things that I can say that I've really gained a overstanding of the system of just how things function. And I got that when I was young. So now it's just like we move so seamlessly. And I would definitely encourage anybody that's even thinking about getting involved, start right now. Even come holler at us. We'll get you squared away, get you connected with somebody. We connect people with internships, jobs, all kind of stuff. Not even just here in Michigan. Whatever you want to do, just speak up. Make sure somebody hear you so we can get you together for sure.
So speaking of enjoy Detroit, I know you do a lot of community work with them. Explain that relationship that you gain with them, and also explain all the community work. Especially a lot of people don't know, man. Enjoy Detroit. I don't know if it's once a week or twice a week, but they go door to. I think it's door to door and pass out food.
Yep.
If I'm not
Yep.
mistaken, right?
Oh yeah.
So
Oh yeah.
explain that, because I follow it from afar and inspired by that as well. So go ahead and just touch bases on all that for me.
Yeah, yeah, no doubt. Yeah, so David Woods, he's the founder of Enjoy Detroit, and he's the owner of S Boy Print, which is the business arm of the nonprofit. And I met him back, I think maybe a year after I was on city council. Folks were trying to get us together for a long time. And I was downtown one day, and dude pulled up. He was pulling down the street, and we ended up recognizing each other. So from then on, we just been chopping it up. And I mean, he's been an excellent force in the community and a great mentor. He's a few years older than me, so he been doing the community service and the giving back for a long time now. We actually found out we both grew up in the same area too. We was over in the number streets. He was probably a few blocks away from where I was at, and so we was tied in ever since the beginning. And I mean, we've been doing all kind of stuff, not only in Detroit but out in Inkster. I mean, in other states, all kind of stuff, just giving back whatever way we can. With Dave and his team he's got over there, they don't really have a certain structure. It's kind of just like whatever needed is in the community, they want to address it. And so, of course, they got their different annual events like the Memorial Day barbecue they do for the homeless, the 48-hour homeless challenge, all the other Christmas giveaways around different holidays and other holidays. But they are solely focused on all kind of wraparound services. And so I've seen them do so many different things that were just irregular to different organizations, because they want to make sure that they're filling in the gap and standing in the stead for a lot of families that's out here in need. And so I absolutely commend him for everything that him and his team is doing, for sure.
And speaking of that, I want to talk a little story about us. People don't know, man. I had called you. I was looking to do the charity basketball game, and
Yeah.
at first I'm like, man, this, in my mind, what I'm thinking about, man, he do too much. He ain't he ain't gonna have time to come put a team together and do that for me.
Yeah.
You was like, Skip, I got you. But it's so funny because I hear that so much that I'm like, okay, I hope he got me. So
Right.
I pull up to the gym yard here before I get
Yeah.
with the team ready to go in there, man. So I don't know. I mean, I tell you every time I see you, man, but I appreciate you helping me with my nonprofit and the mess, and Craig as well, trying to help our community, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no doubt, and we appreciate y'all for doing that, man. I still don't know about that game, man. It was a little. My man's had a loaded team, bro. I thought we was pulling cash from the community or something like that. My man's went in and he was a straight recruiter. So no, but it's all love, though. I ain't gonna hold it against you. We ain't have Big Brother Vince with us that day. So maybe we had some of them plays, we'd have been all right.
He was looking all NBA. He had all ex-college players, all NBA players.
Gotcha.
I was like, what?
Okay, so I want to talk about, look, you're the youngest to have a seat. I'm inspired. I'm thrilled by, I think you're somebody to look up to. But since you're wearing a hat, some of the tough questions. Okay, in light of what's going on, and I know it's neighboring, it's Detroit, it's not Inkster. But what's going on with the mayor now? I mean, what's different from what Kwame was there? Why is Kwame still locked up and this guy isn't being prosecuted or nothing being said?
Well, yeah, I mean, simple as I can say, he's white, and when we look at a lot of things that happen in our country and society, it happens that way, and it's not always necessarily on the surface because they're white in terms of color, but when we look at colors, we have to think about the brand associated with the color that you have, and for so long, being white is just associated with being able to do whatever you want to do. And so since people are able to do whatever they want to do now, and I mean, when you look at the mayor that's currently there, with on a personal level, I mean, we cool for the most part. I bucked heads with him for sure, especially when we was dealing with the auto insurance reform here in the state, because I think it's a bunch of BS. And he was one of the biggest folks that was pushing it. And and I'm 25 and I pay like $1,500 a month for insurance, which is ridiculous. And so, I don't think that the reform is doing anything. And it's a lot of stuff that he's got going on that I think a lot of us will probably think is criminal, that he should be prosecuted for. But like I said, he's white. He's been in politics for a long time, in government for a long time. They've got, he's come from the McNamara administration and stuff like that from back in the day. So he used to be um, locked in with all them folks. And so it's just a lot of different people um, inside the government and inside the business community that are locked in and tied in, who've been moving a certain way for years, who cover each other, who protect each other. And since the families are so tight, it's really difficult really to get in. Now, when we look at, our brother Kwame's situation, is a little different. He wasn't necessarily tied in with everybody, and he's a proud brother. He wasn't really allowing nobody to disrespect him or step on no kind of toes. He wanted to do the same thing that everybody else was doing, but he was black, and so when you be black, a lot of times you gotta worry, you gotta be concerned about the company you keep, you gotta be concerned about the things that you say, the places you be, all kind of stuff like that. And so, since we all have different brands, I think that's really what why the mayor right there now has not been prosecuted. So
Who are some of your inspirations and mentors in this politic
I mean, everybody for real. I really don't pick and choose my mentors. I kind of think everybody, even you skipping now after, being on the call with brother Turner. And then I know our other brother from when we was at the basketball game. But it's like, I mean, whenever I meet somebody, I think somebody always bless me with some kind of jewels or some gems or something that I can take with me for the rest of my life. Whether they're little children who I just watch and just look at how they interact with people, or just older people that might actually share some words of wisdom with me. I think that everybody's my mentor. I just figure out, what can I really glean from an individual? Because I believe that, I'm a culmination of everything I've ever experienced or known. And so everybody's my mentor. Everyone is my inspiration. Everybody is a coach to me, and so I don't really have any particular people that I pick and choose. And of course, I have folks who've been very present in my life, from my parents and my family to different friends and different older folk that if I called off the names, I probably wouldn't know them. But those kind of people that I get a chance to interact with in my daily life, those are my mentors. That's my inspiration.
Okay. Well, I got my last two questions. Before that, I want to ask you, because you seem like from what I know, you're a smooth guy. Never seen you too high, never seen you too low. So if you had to pick two of these community leaders, who would you consider yourself? And I kind of know the answer already in my mind because of other reasons. But if you had to be Martin Luther King or Brother Malcolm X, who would you compare yourself to?
I'll probably be more than Malcolm X. I'm hungry. I'm hungry for sure. I love disruption. So I would say I'm for sure with the good brother El Haj Malik El Shabazz. Ain't no doubt. It definitely does.
Absolutely.
Shoot.
Absolutely.
All right. So, usually on our podcast, it's a sports podcast, so we do like a cut, bench, start.
Yeah.
But since we in politics, and I knew I know two of these good brothers on there. One of them passed away. God rest John Conyers. But if you had to listen, I guess if you had to work with these three individuals, who would you cut? Who would you bench? Who would you start? Coleman A. Young II, Bert Johnson, and John Conyers. Who would you listen? Who would you work with, cut, and then just ignore? If that makes sense.
Because I know Bert Johnson. You talking about Senator Bert Johnson, right?
It's my guy, yeah.
So I know him on a personal level. I would definitely have to work with the good brother, because I know. I mean, he just a savage to me, he a good strong brother. But that's the thing, man. You put me in a bad place though, for sure. Because I knew John, Congressman Conyers. That was the dean right there. I would want to work with him too, and I would want to work with Why can't I work with all three? That's crazy. Yeah, you got to let me do it, bro. And then I done learned so much. I done learned so much stuff about Coleman Young, and I knew his son too. and I heard how he used to get down. Oh yeah, y'all gotta let me do
Oh
that,
my
man.
God. See, now
We're
you
not gonna
talking.
be strong. We're not gonna be strong as a Black community unless we all work. We gotta stick together, brother.
You absolutely right. So I'm gonna tell you two quick stories about Bert and John. So first story with Bert. So you know how I do my charity basketball games at Persian, right? You
Mm-hmm.
know they always give me the ring around of go. You got to talk to the superintendent. You got to do this. Blah
Yeah.
blah blah. So I'm just talking to Bert. Me and him out to lunch in Southfield at that diner. Like as soon as you get on, I think that's Telegraph. Like as soon as you get to Southfield,
Mm-hmm.
I'm sitting there with him in his cabin. You know, he's like, Big Skip, meet me up here. You know, we can grab something to eat. We can chop it up. So I'm just talking to a friend, like, man, I'm trying to do stuff for the community. They giving me the runaround. He say, who gives you the runaround? I'm like, I started explaining. He was like, hold on right quick. He get on the phone. He called the superintendent. Look, my young brother's trying to do this. I don't care what y'all trying to do. He doing it. Next thing I know, the principal at Persia calling me like, the superintendent just called me and blah, 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 because she was dragging her feet.
Right.
So he made it happen. And then John, man, one of the smoothest cats ever. I'm
Without a
at
doubt.
what is the name of that? It's a suit shop on 8 Mile and John R. where at Woodward. I think that's 4 Men. It's like a suit shop where you go get your suits and stuff from. It's right next to the Myers.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
So I walk in, I got an interview. I'm walking in, trying to get started, blah blah blah. So John in the back, I didn't know he seen me because I'm just trying to. He said that first suit on me. I turned around and it was him. I was like, man, and I just gave him a hug. We sat there and started talking for 30 minutes, man. But he was like, the first suit on me because he was like, you look into it, blah blah blah. I was like, yeah, man. I finally got ready for college. I'm about to get this job interview, blah blah blah. He was like, first suit on me. So that's my two stories of them two good brothers.
Yeah, real good brothers. He was a noob too, I think.
Oh, John?
Yeah.
I think he might have been for sure.
Absolutely, because it's all about achievement. That's what we believe in.
Here we go.
Hey, but now here's a couple of things that I wanted to touch on before we go, because I don't want to keep you all night. I understand that, but one, we need to find some way to bridge the gap, and I think you'll agree that for those who have worked in the police field, although I disagree with a lot of things that's going on now, however, we need to have the community more aware of the laws and what the police can do, as opposed to, because some of these things that people, the public are saying, oh, the police got to be punished, for they don't know what actually takes place in those.
Right.
Like, for instance, I will give you the one-up theory. As a police officer, if you bring a stick, I can use a gun. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I don't have to fight fair as a police officer. I can one-up you, and a lot of people don't know. So they're thinking, oh man, these cops are wrong, but in some situations they're right, but in the ones that they're wrong, they need to learn to pick their battles. How do we bridge that gap?
Well, I mean, definitely, I would say on the grand scheme of things, it has to be more conversation, open conversation, open dialogue, where we can really articulate our concerns from both sides. But I think at the same time, we have to figure out, the old thing. I remember there used to be residency requirements, as it relates to law enforcement. The community used to be more present back in the day in terms of, policing the community and having community policing. So people knew who the officers were. People worked well with the officers. I think that we have to figure out, how do we get to a place where they're more of partners than prosecutors, in our community. How can we figure out how to make sure that, I know Officer Jones over there, and he comes around and checks on me. I can trust him with my child. I know if my children is out, he's gonna go ahead and chastise them. He's gonna make sure they get home. We don't ever want to be in a predicament where we're constantly battling with law enforcement, because I know cats has been locked up. I know cats that's in the street. They have no problem with community, with the community police officers. For one, because we need them there for sure. It's nothing. All right, it's nothing that we're not policing our community ourselves. We're not in a predicament to do so right now, and so we need the law enforcement. We want to make sure that we're working in an effort to really work together instead of against each other. So I think it starts with the conversation, but at the same time, we have to figure out, how do we make representation a thing in the police department. So people are seeing people that look like them, people that they're familiar with, people that's inside of their neighborhoods who will treat them the same way as other residents in that neighborhood. I think that's where we have to get to.
Absolutely. And my last thing is, I was thinking, what do you think about this? You're the lawmaker. But okay, so for one, other countries you have to be more higher educated to be a police officer.
Yeah.
Why can't there be some sort of itinerary to where you need 4 years of college or something like that? More training. Make the police officers actually carry individual insurance so that if they do something, they're liable to be sued, as opposed to, do you want to feed your family or do you want to wrong this civilian?
Right.
Because you can be sued, personally. And furthermore, like for the other instances, like George Floyd, now that officer prior to that has 17 write-ups on his file. So at that point, you know who you hire. So why not hold his sergeant, his lieutenant, hold all of them responsible, because you knew who you had on your force and you didn't do anything about it. So you know what? Now you're accountable. Something like that. What do you think about push? Do you think that there would be a lot of pushback from the government on something like that?
I think it might be some pushback from the law enforcement community for sure, because I think on one end, it's kind of difficult right now to retain police officers in different communities, and then they probably, anyone that's not, I guess, in certain industries, don't necessarily care to go into the continuing education bucket, but I definitely think that would be a great idea. If we can structure the police department more where we can figure out, even with the state troopers, for example, they go into schools away from the community for a long time. They still probably need some more time too, I'm just saying. But even the Army, even I can think about for basic and whatnot. You're going for basic and AIT for like 4 or 5 months, sometimes even maybe longer. And so if we can really get people to a place, it's no problem in streamlining the course, but make sure that that's what they're focused on, so they can really learn what they're supposed to do. And then the key is putting people into real life situations. Because like when I was talking about the state troopers, for example, of course they go away to a school and they're off on the weekends, but they're sending people who might be from the west side of the state or up north to cities like Detroit and Inkster. So when they come out here and somebody call them a nigga or a B word, or say some kind of words to them, they not used to hearing this. They up in the strap on them quick and immediately, not knowing that, okay, sometimes you need to figure out how people are, and you need to begin to interact with the community that you serve. And so I definitely think more education or more real life on the spot training might be the thing. And I think that, it makes sense for sure. Because we look at other countries and we look at the police brutality rates or the lack thereof, and it speaks volumes compared to what we're doing here in the state and in the country.
My last question for you: if you could watch anybody, if you could watch somebody on this podcast, who would you watch? And if you got a plug, you got to plug us.
Yeah. I'll watch anybody. I know quite a few cats. I would definitely throw somebody local out there, only because I think that I'm always a firm believer in highlighting some of our local people that don't get a whole lot of shine. But I know brothers like from politicians to business folks, like my boy Dr. Wes Bellamy from Virginia. He's a vice mayor out there. He led the whole big movement on getting all them statues torn down across the country from all them Confederate things. He's been writing a book. He just recently helped kick up Our Black Party with like Diddy and a whole bunch of other folks. So he's doing some major things for sure. I want to see him on there. Brothers like Farrah Gray. If y'all know about him, his dad was one of the generals, Dr. Khalid Muhammad. I talk to him every now and again. It's just, I would like to see them. Dave, if y'all ain't never had Dave on here from Enjoy Detroit, if y'all don't know, if y'all know Keon Clinton with the 1% Better Nation. It's just so many different people that I would refer to. And if y'all ever want to talk to me,
me and Keon super close tied in, but everybody else, you got to plug us, man, so we can get them on here, man, because that'd be dope.
Yeah, we'll try to figure that out for sure.
No, it's just been a pleasure talking to you. I know it's been busy. You know,
Appreciate y'all for stuff.
Mr. Holler, I appreciate you, my much love. You know, if you ever need me, I'm only a call away.
Hey, appreciate y'all for sure, man. Y'all keep up the wonderful work and keep giving this platform to folks so we can hear these kind of conversations.
you put me on that list too. If you ever need me, don't hesitate.
All right, for sure. I'm gonna get all y'all contact information because once I got that phone number, it's over for all of y'all. All right, peace and love, y'all.
Make sure you got my information.
All right, I'm gonna get it from Skip or something.
Okay.
You can send me over everybody info, bro.
Thank you.
All right.
Peace and love.
That was a good one.
I'm upset, man. I'm seriously upset.